Hey gang, what is up? I am Kevin Iole, UFC Edmonton on Saturday, and in the main event, a really good flyweight fight. Former champion Brandon Moreno is back. Finally, going to be fighting my next guest, Amir Albazi. It was a long time talked about. Finally, we're getting that fight on Saturday. Amir, welcome. Appreciate you. I guess fighting in Canada is a new experience for you. Number 11 in terms of countries you fought in.
Yeah, just another business trip for me. I usually travel around and fight over the world. I have nothing to complain about.
What is that like, going to all those different places? Like, does it require a little bit of extra preparation, for your food and for your weight cuts and, knowing all the customs of where you're going?
Yeah, of course, it's a bit like different, especially when you have a weight cut to think about, a fight to think about. But with the UFC, they make it so much easier for us guys. A big shout out to the PI staff like Dan, Charles, the the PI physical therapist, literally everyone from the people that doing the checking to the physios, the nutritionists, the people around that make it easier for us. So actually feels like very smooth, very organized, very professional.
That's awesome. I want to get into the fight and the significance of the fight from your standpoint, but let me ask you something first. I know you started MMA when you were living in Sweden, but you were born in Baghdad right after the war, and I wonder what was it like growing up when a country that had been decimated by war, right? And you're a young boy and you're living and you're seeing all that, and the country's trying to rebuild. How difficult was that, as a young boy? Do you have memories of those days?
Yeah, it's like, of course, I have memories. I grew up there and I actually kept going back. So even if we left the country, we kept going back because I have family there. I have all my uncles, my aunts, my grandma, grandfather, and stuff. So Iraq has always been in war since I remember it. Like since I grew up, Iran-Iraq war for 8 years, then the Gulf War. Then after I left, we had the U.S. invasion. So it's a country that's just been war torn from the start. So it was very, very different growing up, very rough. But for me, it's normal. Like to see, I remember going around the street. We used to see boxes of ammunition. Like everyone had weapons at home because you need to learn to defend your home because you don't know where robbers. Like there was times where there's no police force, like no army.
Hmm.
Uh, Sometimes war, sometimes this, sometimes like just a lot of craziness. So coming out of that, I feel I already won, and this is just a part of journey from coming from that country to traveling to Syria, Sweden, England, and now United States. It's just a long way to the UFC, and I'm just making it even sweeter with becoming a UFC champ, taking myself all the way from there as a young kid in Iraq in the streets of Baghdad to become a UFC champion.
That is an amazing story. You're right to write a book someday about everything you've been through. What has been the impact of living in all those different places? Like, is it easy for you to adapt when you go somewhere? Like, say, when you came to the United States for the first time and showed up at Extreme Couture, was it easier for you to, get with the team and work to the new culture, given how much you had moved around in your life?
Yeah, of course. I learned to adapt and understand different cultures, understand that we're all different, but we're also very alike as human beings. People forget that. Like,
Yeah,
I come from a different country as you, but we 99.9% the same. We just
right.
grew up in a different place. We maybe have a different skin color, but we're all the same. And being a good person, never hurt. I'm trying to lead by example, always be nice to people, and hopefully they're being nice to me. So I never had the issue. All those places kind of welcomed me. So yeah, I just learned how to being in a new country and learn a new language, learning to adapt, learning to get things going. I've done it so many times now. It's like second nature.
Your English is incredible. How many languages do you speak right now?
I speak Arabic, Swedish, and English.
That's incredible. God
Yeah.
bless you. That's really amazing. I have tried, like when I was in college, I tried to learn how to speak Spanish, but uh,
Un poco. I'm working on it.
yes,
I'm working on it
exactly.
too.
Brandon, I talked to Brandon the other day, and he mentioned that you guys had trained together a couple of years ago. Any memories of that? And is there anything that you can take from training with him that you apply to the fight on Saturday?
Like we felt each other, we trained a bit with each other, but I don't base anything of those training times. So I'm a new fighter, and I expect him to be a new fighter with different tool sets. So I'm just gonna come in, I'm gonna bring the fight, I'm gonna do what I do best. So I don't think too much about, oh, he did that move that time, or he did this. If you wanna do that, that's cool. But I focus on what I'm gonna do on Saturday night, and that's gonna be the Amir Albazi, the improved version, the version they haven't seen in the cage now for a long time.
Yeah, the last time you fought, you beat Kai Kara France in Las Vegas in a very good fight, split decision. Um, so, what do you think the impact of that time off is? Right, it's what are we talking about? 16 months since you last fought. Is there any rust you concerned about, or is there anything that you had to do differently, given you've been out a while?
To be honest, I had long layoffs before like this, like even have a long MMA layoff for several years where I focused on jiu-jitsu. I had in the UFC, I had a different injury that kept me out for 15 months, and I came back and fought Francisco Figueiredo, and I finished that fight in the first round. So I don't think that's something that's gonna impact me. But we're gonna have to see on Saturday night. But there's nothing about that I'm worried. I've been training, I've been sparring, so there's nothing that worries me about the layoff.
It seems at the very top of the division, everybody is really close. There's a lot of split decisions among the guys at the very top. When you look at Brandon, how do you think he stacks up against the rest? Like, and from a matchup standpoint with you, what are the things that concern you about that he does well?
I think Brandon Moreno is one of the best guys in the division. He's been a champion, and that is for a reason. It's not easy to be champion and to keep the belt, and everyone knows that. Even if Pantoja is the current champion right now, Brandon been in this for so many times, fought all the names, all the big names in the flyweight division. So that's just for me. I see as an opportunity to prove to people what I can do against Brandon
Right.
Moreno.
You are 17-1. Your only losses before you got into the UFC against Jose Torres. That fight was in Amman, Jordan. What do you remember that? And like, how much do you ever think back on it? Like, that 18-0 is a lot different than 17-1. Not that 17-1 is not a great record, but that O means a lot, right?
Yeah, for some people it does. For me, actually, it don't. I usually say records are for DJs. It's not for me. I'm a fighter. You win some, you lose some, you improve and you get better and you get back on it. So I'm looking to improve every fight. If I have one loss or five, six losses, it doesn't really matter for me. Like as long as I know how good I am, one loss or two losses won't bother me. I don't see it as that. A lot of people trying to keep that undefeated record. For me, I don't care. I want to fight the biggest names in the division. I want to become the best. If that means taking a loss or two, I do it. I just want to test myself. I'm not looking to try to keep my own. Does it bother me? Yeah, of course it bothers me a bit,
Yeah.
but like it's nothing that like takes space in my mind, if you say so.
Understood. So I asked Brandon this yesterday, and he kind of, didn't really care so much. But I'm curious what you think is a flyweight right at the top of the division. The fact that Asakura is getting a title fight with no wins in the UFC. He's coming into the UFC and immediately fighting for the title. You're a guy that's paid your dues. A lot of the guys at the top of the division have done that. Brandon Royval was just in that unbelievable fight with Tatsuro Taira. Fought Moreno before that. All the guys at the very top have been fighting the elite guys. Kai is coming in. I know it's not his fault. He takes what he gets. But what was your take when you heard that he was getting a fight in the UFC with a title fight in the UFC without having any other bouts? What was your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit different. It's not. We're not used to a new guy coming out of the UFC and getting a title shot. But Kaya Sakura is no joke. You know, I know he's a
Yeah.
good fighter too. So, but for me, I focus on myself, and I need a fight before I fight for the title. So it doesn't bother me for now. Maybe after I win against Brandon Moreno, if someone gets like in the line like before me, yeah, maybe it bothers me then. But right now, I'm focusing on myself and Brandon Moreno this Saturday night.
People who are going to watch this fight, what kind of fight can we expect? Do you think this is going to be one that's going to bring people out of their seats? And, you know, Dana White always likes to say, I sell holy shit moments. Do you think there are going to be some holy shit moments in this fight between the two of you?
I gotta put some holy shit moments in this fight, that's for sure. Brandon comes to fight, I come to fight. That only means one thing. That's gonna be the fight of the night for sure.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Amir, I appreciate you, brother. Good luck. Tell Coach Dewey Cooper I said hello, and appreciate everything you did for me, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you so much, man.
We'll see you soon.